I'm 32 years old, and someone tried to have me declared mentally incompetent so they could steal my inheritance. The person who tried? My dad's fiancée of 6 months. The letter came on a Thursday, official legal stationery. Notice of Guardianship Hearing, County Probate Court. I stared at it confused. Guardianship Hearing? For who? Opened it, read the first line, felt the floor drop out. Petition for emergency guardianship and conservatorship of Alex Morgan, DOB 0315-1992. Petitioner, Vanessa Blake. Relationship, future stepmother. Someone had filed to become my legal guardian, to take control of my life, my finances, my medical decisions, everything. And that someone was Vanessa, my dad's fiancée, a woman I'd met 6 times. The petition claimed I was mentally incompetent and unable to care for myself, that I had severe cognitive decline requiring immediate intervention, that I posed a danger to myself and others if left unsupervised. None of which was true. I'm a software engineer, work from home, manage my own finances, live independently, completely functional adult. But according to this legal document, I was so mentally incompetent, I needed a court-appointed guardian to make decisions for me. The hearing was scheduled in 12 days. If I didn't show up to contest it, the guardianship would be granted by default. I called my dad immediately. "Did you know Vanessa filed for guardianship of me?" Silence. Then, "What? No, that doesn't make sense. Why would she do that?" "You're telling me you had no idea your fiancé filed legal papers claiming I'm mentally incompetent?" "Alex, I swear I didn't know. What papers? What are you talking about?" I read him the petition, heard him get progressively more confused and angry. "This is insane. You're fine. You're completely functional. Why would Vanessa claim you're incompetent?" "That's what I want to know. What did you tell her about me?" "Nothing that would justify this. I told her you work in tech, that you're doing well, that you inherited money from your grandparents. That's it." Inherited money. That was the key. My grandparents had left me $1.2 million when they died 3 years ago, money held in a trust until I turned 30. I'd gotten access to it 2 years ago. Vanessa knew about the money. My dad had probably mentioned it casually, and now she was trying to become my legal guardian, which would give her control of my finances. This wasn't about my mental health. This was about stealing my inheritance. I hired a lawyer immediately, showed her the guardianship petition. She read it, and her expression darkened. This is elder abuse tactics applied to a younger person. Abusive guardians often target people with money by claiming they're incompetent. If this goes through, Vanessa would control your entire life. How is this even possible? I'm 32. I'm functional. How can someone just file papers claiming I'm incompetent? Guardianship laws are designed to protect vulnerable people, but they can be abused. All Vanessa needs is a doctor statement and the court's approval. If you don't contest it, the petition gets granted by default. What doctor would sign off on this? I haven't seen a psychiatrist in years. "Let me see the supporting documents." She flipped through the petition packet, found a psychiatric evaluation. Dr. Robert Chen, licensed psychiatrist. Evaluation dated 3 weeks ago. The evaluation claimed I exhibited severe paranoid delusions, inability to maintain employment, violent outbursts, and complete inability to manage daily living activities. Recommended immediate guardianship. Complete fabrication. I'd never met Dr. Chen, never had a psychiatric evaluation, never exhibited any of those behaviors. "This evaluation is fake," I said. "I've never met this doctor." "Then we need to prove that. Can you provide evidence you've been functional? Employment records, bank statements showing you manage your finances, communications proving you're lucid?" "I have everything. I work remotely for a tech company, I pay my bills, I manage my investments, I'm completely self-sufficient." "Good. We'll present that, but we also need to figure out how Vanessa got a psychiatrist to sign a fraudulent evaluation. That's a crime." I looked up Dr. Chen online, found his practice, called his office. "Hi, I'm calling to verify a psychiatric evaluation. Dr. Chen supposedly evaluated me 3 weeks ago, but I've never been to your office." The receptionist checked. "I don't see any appointment for an Alex Morgan. Are you sure it was our office? The evaluation has Dr. Chen's name and signature on it. Can you send me a copy? If someone's using Dr. Chen's credentials fraudulently, he needs to know." I sent the evaluation. Dr. Chen called me back within an hour. "Mr. Morgan, I did not conduct this evaluation. I've never met you. This signature is forged. Someone is using my credentials to create false psychiatric assessments. I'm reporting this to the medical board and the police immediately." "Do you know Vanessa Blake?" No, I've never heard that name. She's the one who filed for guardianship using your forged evaluation. Then she's committed multiple felonies, medical fraud, forgery, possibly elder abuse statutes, even though you're not elderly. I'll cooperate fully with any investigation. So Vanessa had forged a psychiatric evaluation, created fake medical documents, used a real psychiatrist's credentials without his knowledge, all to try to gain control of my life and steal my money. I filed a police report immediately, showed them the forged evaluation, Dr. Chen's statement that he'd never evaluated me, evidence that Vanessa was my dad's fiancée and knew about my inheritance. The detective assigned to my case was Maria Rodriguez. She reviewed everything and said, "This is guardianship fraud. It's becoming more common. People target individuals with money or property, claim they're incompetent, get themselves appointed guardian, then drain the assets. Can you stop the hearing? I can file a report with the court, request the hearing be postponed pending criminal investigation, but you should still attend and contest it. Bring your lawyer, bring evidence you're competent. Make sure this petition doesn't go through." The hearing was in 8 days. I spent that time gathering evidence, employment records showing I'd been working consistently for 10 years, bank statements showing I managed my finances responsibly, letters from colleagues and friends attesting to my competence, medical records showing I was healthy and functional. I also got my own psychiatric evaluation, found a reputable psychiatrist, got assessed. The evaluation concluded, Mr. Morgan shows no signs of mental illness, cognitive decline, or inability to manage his affairs. He's fully competent and does not require guardianship. My dad was devastated when police told him what Vanessa had been planning. "I introduced her to you. I told her about your inheritance. This is my fault." "It's not your fault. You didn't know she was a con artist." "I should have seen the signs. She was always asking about your finances, about your trust fund, about whether you were handling the money responsibly. I thought she was just being concerned. I didn't realize she was planning this." "How long have you known her?" "We met online 8 months ago, got engaged after 6 months. I thought," he trailed off, "I thought she loved me, but she was just using me to get access to you and your money." The guardianship hearing was surreal. I walked into the courtroom with my lawyer, my evidence binders, and Dr. Chen, who'd volunteered to testify about the forged evaluation. Vanessa was there with her lawyer. She looked nervous, kept glancing at the door like she was considering running. The judge called the case. "Petition for emergency guardianship of Alex Morgan. Miss Blake, you're the petitioner?" "Yes, Your Honor." "And Mr. Morgan, you are contesting this petition?" "Yes, Your Honor. The entire petition is based on forged documents." The judge's eyebrows went up. "Forged documents? That's a serious allegation." My lawyer stood. "Your Honor, we have evidence that the psychiatric evaluation submitted with this petition is fraudulent. Dr. Robert Chen, the psychiatrist whose credentials were used, is here to testify he never evaluated Mr. Morgan and did not sign this document." The judge looked at Vanessa. "Miss Blake, is this true?" I received that evaluation from Dr. Chen's office. I assumed it was legitimate." "You're claiming you received a psychiatric evaluation from Mr. Morgan without his knowledge or consent?" "He was evaluated as part of a family intervention. He didn't know because we were concerned about his mental state." "Complete lie. There was no family intervention, no evaluation. She'd made everything up." Dr. Chen testified next. "Your Honor, I never evaluated Alex Morgan. I've never met him. The signature on this evaluation is not mine. Someone forged my credentials to create a false psychiatric assessment." The judge examined the evaluation closely. "Miss Blake, how did you obtain this evaluation if Dr. Chen says he never conducted it?" Vanessa's lawyer whispered to her. She said nothing. "Miss Blake, I'm asking you a direct question. How did you obtain this evaluation?" I'd prefer not to answer on the grounds it might incriminate me." The courtroom went silent. Vanessa had just invoked her Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination in a guardianship hearing, essentially admitting she'd done something criminal. The judge was not pleased. "Miss Blake, you filed a petition to gain legal control over a 32-year-old man based on documents you now refuse to explain. Do you understand how serious this is?" "Your Honor, I'd like to withdraw the petition." "That's not how this works. Mr. Morgan has a right to present his defense. We're going to hear his evidence." My lawyer presented everything: my employment records, my financial statements, letters from colleagues and friends, my legitimate psychiatric evaluation showing I was completely competent. The judge reviewed it all, then looked at Vanessa. "Miss Blake, did you know Mr. Morgan has a $1.2 million trust fund?" Yes, his father mentioned it. "And you're aware that if you were appointed his guardian, you would gain control of his finances." "That wasn't the motivation." "Miss Blake, you filed for emergency guardianship based on forged medical documents claiming a functional 32-year-old man is mentally incompetent. You invoked your Fifth Amendment right when asked to explain those documents, and you happen to know he has over $1 million in assets you would control. What am I supposed to conclude? Vanessa had no answer. The judge's ruling was swift. The petition for guardianship is denied. The supporting documents appear to be fraudulent. I'm referring this matter to the district attorney for investigation of possible criminal fraud. Miss Blake, you're ordered to have no contact with Mr. Morgan. This hearing is adjourned. Vanessa left the courtroom quickly, didn't look at me, didn't look at my dad, who'd been sitting in the back row watching his fiancée's scheme collapse. The district attorney filed charges 2 weeks later. Multiple felonies: attempted guardianship fraud, forgery, identity theft, conspiracy to commit fraud. Each charge carried significant prison time. Vanessa was looking at 8 to 12 years if convicted. Her lawyer tried to negotiate a plea deal. She'd plead guilty to 1 count of fraud in exchange for probation and restitution. The prosecutor asked my opinion. Do you want to accept probation? No. She tried to have me declared mentally incompetent to steal over $1 million. She forged medical documents. She exploited my father's trust. That deserves prison time. Then we go to trial. The trial was scheduled 6 months out. In the meantime, more victims emerged. Vanessa had tried this before. 2 years ago, she'd filed for guardianship of an elderly man she'd met through a dating site, claimed he had dementia. The man's daughter had contested it and the petition was denied, but Vanessa hadn't been charged. She'd withdrawn the petition and disappeared. 18 months ago, she'd tried to become guardian of a disabled veteran. Same pattern: forged medical documents, emergency guardianship petition, target had money. That case had also been withdrawn when contested. I was the first victim who'd pushed for criminal charges, the first one who'd exposed her pattern and insisted on prosecution. The trial was almost therapeutic, watching Vanessa's scheme get dissected publicly, watching her try to defend the indefensible. The prosecution presented the forged evaluation. Dr. Chen testified again about his credentials being misused. I testified about being completely functional and never needing guardianship. Then the prosecution brought in the other victims, the elderly man, the disabled veteran. Both testified about Vanessa's attempts to gain control of their lives and assets. The pattern was undeniable. Vanessa was a serial guardianship fraudster. She targeted vulnerable or isolated people with money, filed false petitions, forged medical documents, tried to gain legal control to drain their assets. When caught, she'd withdraw and move on to the next target. Except I hadn't let her move on. I'd insisted on consequences. Vanessa's defense was weak. Her lawyer tried to claim she'd been genuinely concerned about my mental health, that the forged evaluation was a miscommunication with Dr. Chen's office, that she had no intention of stealing my money. None of it held up. The evidence was overwhelming. The pattern across multiple victims was clear. Vanessa was a con artist who specialized in guardianship fraud. The jury deliberated for 4 hours, came back with guilty verdicts on all counts. Sentencing was 6 weeks later. All 3 victims submitted impact statements. I was last. Your Honor, Vanessa Blake tried to steal my life. Not just my money, my entire life. She attempted to have me declared mentally incompetent so she could control my finances, my medical decisions, my housing, everything. If her plan had succeeded, I would have been institutionalized, lost my freedom, lost my autonomy, all so she could steal my inheritance. And I wasn't the only victim. She's done this before. She'll do it again if given the chance. She's a predator who targets people with money and exploits guardianship laws designed to protect vulnerable individuals. I'm asking for the maximum sentence, not because I'm vindictive, but because Vanessa has proven she's a danger to anyone with assets she thinks she can steal. She needs to be stopped permanently. The judge reviewed the case, the multiple victims, the forged documents, the systematic exploitation of guardianship laws. Miss Blake, you committed a sophisticated fraud that could have destroyed Mr. Morgan's life. You forged medical documents. You exploited a man's trust in his fiancée to gain access to his son. You've targeted multiple victims over several years. This is not a one-time mistake. This is a pattern of predatory behavior. The court sentences you to 8 years in state prison. You will also pay full restitution to cover Mr. Morgan's legal fees. You are permanently prohibited from filing for guardianship of any person, and I'm recommending you be added to a registry of guardianship fraud offenders. 8 years. Vanessa would be 52 when she got out. Her career as a con artist effectively over. Her freedom gone for the prime years of her life. My dad broke up with Vanessa the day after the guardianship hearing. Didn't even do it in person, just texted her, "We're done, don't contact me again." She tried anyway, called him crying, saying she'd made a mistake, that she really loved him, that she'd only filed for guardianship because she was concerned about me. He blocked her, told me later, "I can't believe I almost married someone who tried to destroy my son's life to steal his money. I'm so sorry." You didn't know. She conned you too. I should have seen it. The way she asked about your finances, the way she pushed to meet you, the way she seemed so interested in your inheritance. I missed all the signs. My dad went to therapy, needed help processing that he'd been engaged to a con artist, that he'd been used as a gateway to target me, that his judgment had been so compromised. I didn't blame him. Vanessa was good at what she did. Professional. Convincing. She'd done this to multiple people before him. She knew how to manipulate and exploit. The other victims and I formed a support group, informal, just people who'd been targeted by Vanessa comparing notes and processing the trauma. The elderly man, Harold, had nearly been institutionalized. His daughter had fought for months to prevent Vanessa from gaining guardianship. The stress had triggered a real health crisis. He'd ended up in the hospital, nearly died. All because Vanessa wanted access to her $800,000 retirement savings. The disabled veteran, Marcus, had lost thousands in legal fees fighting Vanessa's petition, had suffered PTSD triggers from the experience, had to move states to feel safe again. We'd all been damaged by Vanessa's schemes, all traumatized by having someone try to steal our lives and autonomy. But we'd all survived, all fought back, all ensured she faced consequences. Vanessa started serving her 8-year sentence at a women's correctional facility. No early release due to the severity and pattern of her crimes. She'd serve at least 6 years before parole eligibility. She sent me a letter after 6 months in prison. I almost didn't open it. Finally did. Alex, I know you'll never forgive me. I don't expect forgiveness. I just want you to understand I wasn't trying to hurt you. I was desperate. I had debts. I needed money. I saw an opportunity and I took it. I convinced myself you wouldn't really be harmed, that you'd be taken care of in a facility while I managed your finances, that it was a victimless crime. But it wasn't victimless. You would have lost everything, your freedom, your life, your money. I would have destroyed you to save myself financially. Prison has given me time to understand what I did, how wrong it was, how predatory, how evil. I'm not asking for forgiveness, just acknowledgement that I finally understand the harm I caused. I'm sorry. I know that's meaningless after what I tried to do, but I am sorry. I read the letter twice. Felt nothing. No sympathy, no forgiveness, just distance. Vanessa understanding what she'd done didn't undo the trauma, didn't erase the months of legal battles, didn't restore my sense of security. I threw the letter away, didn't respond, didn't need closure from someone who'd tried to institutionalize me to steal my inheritance. The guardianship fraud experience changed me, made me paranoid about protecting my assets. I moved my trust fund to multiple accounts, set up fraud alerts, created legal documents specifying exactly who could make decisions for me if I ever became incapacitated. I also became an advocate for guardianship law reform, testified at state legislative hearings about how easily the system can be abused, how forged documents and fraudulent petitions can destroy lives. Some reforms passed. Now guardianship petitions require in-person verification from licensed medical professionals. Courts must notify alleged incapacitated persons immediately. Emergency guardianships are much harder to obtain. Small changes, but changes that might prevent future Vanessas from exploiting the system. 4 years have passed since I received that guardianship petition. 4 years since I discovered my dad's fiancée was trying to have me institutionalized to steal my money. Vanessa's still in prison, has 4 more minimum. I've moved on with my life, still working, still managing my finances, still completely functional despite her claims I was incompetent. My dad eventually started dating again, much more carefully this time. Background checks, slow introductions, no mention of finances until relationships are well established. He's with someone now. Nice woman, teacher. No interest in my inheritance because she doesn't know about it, and we're keeping it that way. Trust has to be earned over years, not months. That's what we learned. People ask if 8 years was too harsh, if Vanessa deserved that much prison time for something that didn't actually happen. But it nearly did happen. If I hadn't noticed the petition in time, if I hadn't contested it, if I hadn't had resources to hire lawyers and gather evidence, I would have been declared incompetent. Vanessa would have become my guardian. I would have been institutionalized. She would have drained my trust fund. My life would have been destroyed, not theoretically, actually destroyed. She attempted that, planned it meticulously, forged documents to make it happen, and did the same thing to at least 2 other people before me. 8 years isn't harsh. It's appropriate. It's what serial predators deserve. Guardianship fraud is invisible abuse. Most people don't know it exists, don't know that someone can file papers claiming you're incompetent and gain legal control of your life with just forged documents and a court hearing. I was lucky. I caught it, fought back, had resources to hire lawyers, had evidence to prove my competence. Many victims don't. They're elderly, isolated, don't have family to advocate for them. They get declared incompetent, guardians drain their assets. They die in institutions while strangers spend their money. It happens more than people realize, and people like Vanessa enable it by exploiting the system. So no, 8 years isn't too harsh. If anything, it's not enough for someone who's made a career of trying to institutionalize people to steal their money. What would you have done in this situation? Let me know in the comments. Like if you enjoyed the story, share this with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe to ScrollTales for more daily drama.